Alright, and welcome to the second tutorial for ACF 2.0 4.27 for VR. In the previous tutorial, we covered a few things, such as how to get your motion controllers attached to your character's mesh. We also covered a little bit on the concept of how you could use a modular character, and you could do some fun stuff with that in order to avoid having any collision issues with the camera versus the mesh. So inside of this tutorial today, we're actually going to start off by fixing one thing first. So inside of your animation, you need to go to the event graph, and you need to convert what was previously the gets for the motion controllers. You need to do validated gets. So again, I'll show you that one more time. You just right click on what you're targeting and convert that to a validated get. What you're going to do then is you're going to route that in from the is valid on valid, connect it to the set motion controller transform right for the right motion controller get. So again, these are partitioned and these are partitioned. This is the right motion controller, this is the right motion controller. This is the left motion controller, this is the left motion controller. One other thing that I didn't cover in the previous tutorial was this area. You need to make sure that your adjustments all match this for both of these. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, you need to go into your project settings. Inside of project settings, scroll down, go to the input. You need to set up your inputs for your move forwards and also your turn rate. So go ahead and on the move forward drop down, go ahead and press the add, and then go in here and set whatever you want your move forward to be. I generally set mine to the Y for the thumbstick. So for any controller, like let's say you want to do the HTC Vive, so you would use the trackpad Y, and it will work as a move forward on the left thumbstick when you press up and down. So your move right should be your X thumbstick or trackpad for whatever remote you want to control your turning. You should also do the same thing for your turn rate. So again, the X of either controller. I personally like having the Y on the left controller and the X on the right. It makes it for kind of like a very well-rounded control. But again, do it any way that you wish. But let's go back over here. So inside the content folder, I know I have some other folders in here. I'm just messing around with some stuff. We're gonna go back to the sample, and we're gonna have our sample map open again. What I did is I added a cube. So I drug out a cube, a little area for whatever object I'm trying to set on it to sit on. Something that is suggested is to make sure you have surface snapping on when you're placing objects that you want to be sitting on something that has physics enabled. The reason why is because if it falls, it will bounce, and if it bounces, it can bounce off the table every time you turn it on. So just make sure that you have surface snapping, that way nothing's clipping, but it is sitting on the surface. So inside of blueprints, we make a new folder called Interactables. Inside of Interactables, you will see that I imported over the blueprint for the projectile. You can use the ACF projectile, but I wanted something with no damage, just very simple logic, just to demonstrate this. So first things first is we're going to create a new blueprint. Go ahead and name it Base Interactable. And once you have that available, go ahead and open it. Then you're going to come back and you're going to create another blueprint in the same folder. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go to the blueprint, and we're going to go to the blueprint interface. So it's got to be a blueprint interface, and then go ahead and open that as well. Once you have that open, go ahead and head to your character, and we're going to create a new variable. The new variable is going to be of a actor class. Go ahead and name it item held in left hand or right hand for wherever you were trying to set up your collision sphere. So my sphere is attached to the hand L because that is what I'm using for my grab interaction. And head back to the project settings, and you need to actually add in a grab input. So go ahead and add in grab left, grab right, and then assign it to whatever button on your controller that you want it to be grabbed from. You can go ahead and add this in as well because this is going to trigger an action, and that's going to be demonstrated later. I put it on the left trigger, so when I press the trigger, the gun that I showed you previously will shoot. So back over here, go ahead and just get your inputs out. You can do that by typing the input name, grab left, and it will open up a grab left input. And then do the same thing for your trigger. So once you have that set up, we are going to go into the base interactable. And this is pretty simple logic. Let me go ahead and clear this out. So we have an interface that we set up right here. And inside of the interface, we have two different functions. The first function is going to be an interact function, and it's going to have a scene component inside of it. So make sure that you type in scene component and select it. It is not an array. And then type in hand. And then go ahead and click add new to create a new function, and call this one action. And then after you do that, compile and save. Once you've compiled and saved, go ahead and head back over here to your base interactable. Right click, type event interact, press enter. And then on your event interact, go ahead and pull off and get a flip-flop. From the flip-flop, go ahead and do an attach actor to component, and go ahead and simulate physics, set collision enabled, add local rotation, and then come back down here. And the gun mesh that we previously looked at, we need to create a static mesh of it. So let's go ahead and inside of assets, items, epic gun, mesh, click on the gun. From here, you're going to go ahead and click on make a static mesh. Save it wherever you feel like keeping this. You can name it gun static mesh, press OK. Once you have done that, close that out, come back over here, find your static mesh, open it, click up here on collision, then click on add 18 DOP simplified collision, and then go ahead and save that. That's going to add a collision parameter around the gun. So we're going to go back over here to the base interactables. Once you've done that, so what we're going to do here is we are going to add a static mesh. If you still have your gun selected, so inside of assets, inside of items, epic guns, and if you have your static mesh selected, you come back over here and you can just click it. It'll auto-gen whatever you have clicked when you're trying to add a new component, assuming it can be equipped as a component. So once you've done that, you're going to see that there's something called root right here, or something of the sort. Go ahead and just click this and drag it onto the root. That way this is the root. Then after that, with this selected, click this and type in arrow to add a arrow component to your gun static mesh. So go ahead and get this lined up with your gun, wherever you want it to start from, and that is kind of where your start sequence is going to start for firing the gun later. And again, this can be used with any other type of thing out there. Maybe you have like a weapon you're trying to activate during a certain amount of time. You'll be able to use this exact same concept and replicate it for that. Anyways, So we have these created now, and we're gonna go ahead and drag out a reference to get the gun static mesh. And from the gun static mesh, go ahead and plug in to the target here, to the target here, to the target here. And then from there, you're going to right click and you're going to cast to ACF full player BP. And you're going to right click and you're going to convert that to a pure cast. From the pure cast, you are going to get the get player pawn. And you can just put it like that. And then from the add local rotation, you're going to drag out and you're going to, and you will set the item held in the left hand. And your target will be the ACF character. So it'll drag into that. Okay, so this right here from the event interact, we set a input for the hand. So we're gonna drag the hand out and we're gonna attach this to the parent. So from the flip-flop on the B, we're going to detach from actor. We're going to keep world location. We're going to keep world rotation, and we're going to keep world scale. We are then going to simulate the physics. When you simulate the physics, go ahead and drag out from the gun static mesh and put it into the target. Do the same once you set up the collision enabled. Make sure that your drop down here sets collision enabled query and physics. And then you are going to, again, set the item in left hand. So you're gonna go ahead and just copy and paste that down here. And you can copy and paste this as well. So if you were doing a network replicated game, this is not going to work probably. You're gonna need to index your players. So that's just a heads up. So now that that's done, go ahead and comment this section out. This calls the interact set via interaction from here. This is where you pick up your logic that's stored from the grab left or right. So you would do this for your grab and left and right. So from here, we have the event action that we set up inside of the VR interactable interface. And the event action is pretty simple. You put your custom logic here. Whatever you're trying to happen or have happen whenever this action is being executed for this particular item, whatever item you are using. It could be a bow and arrow. It could be a switch, or it could be like a rope that you're pulling to open a door. It could be anything. This is your event action for that VR interaction. So for this one, we are spawning a projectile, which was the little projectile right here from the VR, the VR template, I believe. So inside here, it just has some basic overlap information. It explains how the projectile works, and then it's got projectile movement. But you could really slot in anything that you want. So like type in projectile, and you can have the ACF projectile if you want to use that, since it has damage calculations for ACF already. But for demo purposes, we will just use this. So anyways, so we're gonna pull off, spawn the actor for the projectile, set the projectile as the class, and then from the spawn transform, we're gonna do this, and we're actually just gonna click make transform. And then from there, we're gonna go ahead and pull off the muzzle location and get it. And then we're gonna get the world location, the world rotation, and we're gonna plug those into the corresponding units. Once you have done that, go ahead and press compile. Go ahead and press compile, and you should have the ability to now interact with an item, and your item base will be this. You can change your base to not be a gun. It can be anything. This is just to demonstrate the ability to pick up something and fire it off using the method that I showed you earlier. And it could be a shield. Maybe you want to pick up a shield, hold it in your left hand, right hand, block arrows that are coming towards you. You know, there's tons of things that you can do with this. Anyways, you should be able to now go in game and pick everything up. Have any questions? Feel free to reach out. Until the next